Welcome back to DONSLIFE. Welcome to the channel. We're continuing to add accessories to the KUAT IBEX rack that we put on my GMC Sierra AT4. In this case, I'm recycling some of the lighting that I had on my sport bar. You may remember we had these rear-facing Dark Knight Vortex by Strands, and then we also had this Strands dual color DRL light bar called Strands Siberia series. So we're gonna reinstall these, but on this rack right here. And just to give you an example of how versatile this is, there's so many different configurations we could do. I'm dealing with two of these and a light bar. The light bar could go on any of these cross rails, above, below, whatever we wanted. Technically, we could mount it to face out the side if we wanted, but these here, call them chase lights or rear-facing floodlights, whatever you want. They also have a red daytime running light. I think I'm gonna hang them here, one on each side, so they'll be red when I'm driving, and when I need to see behind me, I can flip them on. I thought about putting them on top. We could do that. We could order a couple more of these, and we could do even on the sides here. Like, the versatility is just crazy. The possibilities are endless, so stick around. So I'm going to start with doing all of the mounting. I don't think that's really that exciting, so I'll probably do some time-lapse footage. But I've already went and taken the brackets for the light bar, and I've just spaced them out evenly up there, exactly the same distance apart that they were when I had my sport bar mounted, because the sun had happened to have faded, you know, a little bit in the back of the light bar on the finish or the powder coating. So I just wanted the brackets to line up in the same spot. So that's why I chose to do them right there. But really, you could do them whatever spacing you want, as long as it fits within the channel of the light bar. Mounting these will be easy, like I had mentioned. Everything uses T-nuts. So you put the T-nut in, you slide it in the track, and then you screw to it. So I'll have to back out some of the wiring I have here for this third brake light, which brings me to my next point, the wiring. You can see my rat's nest of wires here. Actually, it's quite organized. I have everything ready to go from when I removed it from my sport bar install. I'm hoping I don't have to extend anything, but the idea is we'll have all the wiring, at least for these rear lights, go to that corner, and then they'll go up to the front and they'll meet the light bar wiring. So we need to run all the wiring up to that corner. Now I'm gonna try and do it as neat as possible, but for now I'm gonna have to use wire loom. So I picked up some 3/8 wire loom here for the rear lights, and then I've got a whole bunch of the big stuff for the big wire on the light bar itself. So when it comes to wire loom, to make it all look nice and neat and keep it black so it doesn't stand out, we got that covered. But I think there's an opportunity here as KUAT continues to develop accessories, and I'm going to talk to them. I think that they could make some type of channel or a conduit that attaches using some of the T-net mechanisms, and then that way all your wire is kind of stealth and shrouded, and you can chase wires right to one end, and you don't have really much of this showing except where maybe a corner exists and that type of thing. So don't be surprised that after this install, although I'm doing it with wire loom, I don't come up with something myself, maybe using a tube with some drain holes in it. Of course, it'd have to be black because I don't want it to stand out. It's not going to be white or anything like that. But I think that I'll have to clean up the wires a little bit later. But for this road trip that's coming up in 5-6 days from now, safety is paramount. So I want to have all my lighting on my truck, because there are sections of the highway from where I live in Saskatchewan all the way to Minot, North Dakota. For dozens of miles, there's not a street lamp, sometimes not even another vehicle on the road. And in my experience, having the extra lighting for wildlife and avoiding them is probably a really good idea. So we're going to get this lighting on and we're going to put it to use, and then we can fine tune some of the install later on. Okay, we got the light bar firmly mounted. It's on a tiny bit of a downward angle, just subtle. I don't want it pointed up into the sky. I want it pointed down to the road as far out as possible. So that should be pretty good. We can fine tune it later if we need to. And at the back here, we got our lights mounted. They're also at a little bit of a downward angle. I'm not sure if you can tell or not, but it's a little more aggressive because they don't throw light as far. And if I have to tow somebody out of the ditch, We probably want the light coming down, as well as some backup situations. Everybody knows that the backup lights on this series of truck or on this generation of truck is really poor. So these are a nice addition. So now I'm going to hook up the harnesses to the rear lights, something like that. Tuck all of these wires into some wire loom, all up here under this rear bar, down the side, up to that corner. We'll get everything collected in that corner, and then I'll show you how and where I'm wiring it up under the hood. Man, I really don't like taking shortcuts. I was using this wire loom at first. You probably saw in some of the footage. We had it up here, and then I used some cable ties to hold it because that's really all I have right now to secure something like this. I didn't like it. So I have some PVC pipe laying around. I had a 3-foot piece there that I've mounted just with some strapping across the top. I'll show you that in a second, or I'll run some B-roll while I'm talking. And I think that hides the cables a lot better. So now this is becoming more of a proof of concept when I'm talking about a way that we can make the wires more integrated and managed better. So I think I'm onto something. Now this is temporary. This is PVC pipe, like plumbing pipe. It's black, so it kind of blends in, so that's good. But I'm definitely gonna change this up. But because we're going on this road trip and I want all this lighting mounted, I also want it protected from the elements. I'm gonna continue on. I might use some wire loom, but we're gonna work on the side now, kind of see how it all comes together. Again, we want everything up in the front corner there, and then we'll wire it up to the truck, and then we'll get to test out these lights. All right, I think it's time to get the show on the road and get this wiring connected. Let me just show you a few things that I've done first. So here's all of our wiring. I think it's pretty neat coming down right there, nice and tidy anyway. Then it goes down the back of the box behind this kind of plastic rubbery strap that comes on the box, so it's kind of concealed behind there. I'm gonna get under the truck and make sure it's strapped all the way along the frame rails, and then it's gonna come up behind this mud flap, behind the fender or wheel well liner, and then it's going to come way up. Don't forget to keep your battery maintained. I have my hood open a lot, so I've got that hooked up. But we're gonna have the wires come up here, probably come up under the battery, up here, and then into our aux beam switch panel. Now it's always a good idea to test your wiring before you go and route it all. So that's what I've done with the battery here. Got my RV battery out. I've tested everything. I've also done some extending of the wires, but I didn't have the same colors as the initial wires. So what I did is I used colored shrink tubing near the ends where they're terminated, so I know what colors they are, because you can see down here, I only had 3 different wire color types. But up here, I've got the full rainbow. So little tip for you, I just taped the ends up so it's easier to fish through. But that's what we're gonna do next, is fish all of that down, up to the switch, and we should be ready to rock and roll. Okay, it's all wired up. Yes, it's getting crowded, but it is secure and somewhat neat and tidy. My charger's on here right now. Just gonna leave that on for a little bit, but let's do some testing. Now for the OGs, you know that my switch panel is not only on ignition, but I have remote as well. Now for some reason, I'll have to figure this out later. My aux beam remote's not working, so it's not talking to the unit. I checked the antenna, so I think it's lost its programming or pairing with the main unit. I'll figure that out later. So we're gonna have to do this the old school way. Let's start with the tray lights. I have them labeled. That should be the red halo or red DRL effect on these. You knew it. You knew they'd work. Now we can leave those on and it won't hurt it, but we can hit back up. We definitely got some light here. Heck yeah. I'll turn those off. Now we want to check if our white DRLs are working. on the light bar. There's the white DRL. Better make sure the DRLs and everything else still work since they're tied together. Yes, we're good there. Switch to amber. Good to go. Good to go. Good to go. And now the main event, the big light bar. Yeah, I'd say that works. Well there, I'm pretty happy. Isn't it nice when things just come together? So without further ado, let's take this outside, get you some daytime footage and nighttime footage, and then wrap this up. Well, I for one am pretty happy. We got the light bar on, we got the rear facing lights on. We are back in operation with all of the current lighting projects that we have, but I've got many more in store. So if you're curious what the heck I'm talking about, definitely check out the next AT4 video, which will probably be about we just said what it was. It'll probably be about the packages that we're picking up in Minot, North Dakota. So definitely check out that video. Then you'll have a preview of a lot of the projects coming up over the next several months. Now I know these overlander systems aren't everybody's cup of tea, but this truck will go through a transformation. Trust me, we're just going to keep building on the ideas. And again, these are just ideas. They're inspiration. If you want to do something similar, maybe learn what you don't want to do. Either way, I'm taking the plunge to do these things because for the foreseeable future, we have a lot of runway with this truck. We're going to continue to customize it and make it a one-of-one GMC Sierra AT4. So that being said, if you like today's video, hit that like button. Please consider subscribing, and we'll talk to you next time.